this Michigan game hosting Oregon. Not quite as much luster here with Michigan being 5-3, but there's still a lot to fight for. Michigan, the largest home underdogs they've been, I think, since 1986.
Did Tuttle? Did something happen with Tuttle?
Jack Tuttle, I was just going to say, quarterback Jack Tuttle has retired from football after his 5th concussion.
Oh, okay.
So, and obviously he had a bunch of injuries when he was at Indiana, and he's an older guy. So I wish him the best. He seems like a great guy. I got to meet him when I was in
and he got his shot.
He got his shot, and he's done with football. He's going to move on. I hope he does great things in life. So that leaves Davis Warren or Alex Orji from Michigan. You're 5-3. You're hosting an Oregon team that is just absolutely cruising right now. You do get them in the big house, and this line is minus 14.5 right now, but it opened at about 16.
Well, and I've gone back and forth. When I was driving up to the studio, I was thinking about this game from both perspectives. First off, I hate that this game, it's a big game, make no mistake. Every game Michigan plays in is a big game. And I know you're coming off an undefeated year, won the national championship, all that. I just wish there was more to this game, right? Because I've been looking forward to this one since the offseason. But when I look at it from Sharon Moore's standpoint, I think you got to play both quarterbacks in this game, situationally, but you got to play Davis Warren probably most of it. Because as good as your defense has been, this Oregon offense is going to find ways to score points. I think Michigan may have their best defensive effort of the year, and that includes tackling in space, because we've talked about all the time on this show how Will Stein and Oregon do a great job of supplementing the run game with that short pass game, that quick pass game, which if you want to load the box, they'll spit it out. Even if you don't load the box, they're going to make you tackle in space. But I feel like Michigan could play great on defense for 80% of this game. But Oregon's going to find a way, right, to push the ball down the field. Dylan Gabriel's starting to use his legs a little bit more. So if you're Michigan, I don't think, because Oregon, they haven't been as elite as what I thought they were going to be in the front seven defensively and against the run. But they're starting to figure it out a little bit, and they've got good enough personnel to fight with you up front when you look at Michigan's offensive line. So I don't think you can just bash the wall in with Orji the whole game. You got to have Davis Warren out there to give you somewhat of a throwing element, because you may stop Oregon a decent amount, but eventually they're going to find you because they are very talented on offense, and they're starting to gain even more confidence on this offense. I mean, they've got everything. They've got the offensive line. They've got a mobile quarterback that can really spin it in Dylan Gabriel. They've got the James kid at running back. They've got multiple guys that can run it. They've got slot guys. They've got Evan Stewart who can play the Z, can play the X, all that stuff on the outside. And they've got one of the best tight ends that nobody talks about in the country. So if you're Michigan, I feel like you got to play both of them, but you're probably going to have to lean on Davis Warren to be. He's going to have to throw you to a win eventually, because if Oregon hits the 20-point mark, which I think they will, it's going to be tough just to line up and run Q power and power read and beat them for the whole game.
I mean, with the way Oregon's been playing, especially the performance against Illinois, which I know was at home, Blaine, are you surprised to see the line not be higher?
Yeah, I really am. I mean, if there's ever a time to catch Oregon, now's not the time. If you're Michigan, especially with Tuttle going out.
What's it at? What's the line at?
14.5.
16.5? What'd you say it started at?
It started at, this says 15.5. I think I saw it 16 other places. Right now it's minus 14.5 Oregon.
God, who'd have thought that would have been the case?
45.5 over under.
And it's just, this isn't a great matchup for Michigan. I mean, right now you're looking at an Oregon team. Dylan Gabriel is just checking all the boxes. He's doing everything well. They're running the ball well. They have 3 receivers that can go get it with a tight end, and their defense is figuring out in the front seven. While it feels like Michigan defense is getting worse and their offense isn't improving. So I like Oregon to cover in this game. I just don't know. It's to the point now where Michigan, you might as well put Warren and Alex Orji out there, run the 2 quarterback systems, throw swing passes and double passes, reverse double passes, then I don't know after that.
It's funny you say that, because I did think that Kirk Campbell with the play calling last week was starting to get more creative and seeing what he had to work with. Not necessarily with trick plays, but end around bluff was a big one that was working.
You know, that kind of stuff.
Well, you need to throw everything you can at this game. I'll tell you how Oregon's really going to hurt Michigan. They're going to go up tempo. They're going to go up tempo early, and they're going to go up tempo often. I don't know if Will Johnson's going to play. If he does play, I don't know how effective he's going to be. Obviously, Michigan needs him. He's a game changer, especially with these wide receivers you're going to be facing. But pace. Oregon needs to run at pace as much as possible, because one, those now screens and those quick screens, that's going to keep that front seven from being able to tee off on you, and you're going to get these wide receivers out on space against linebackers, which is what really hurts Michigan. But more importantly, you're going to get those first-string guys tired, and that's what Texas did to Michigan.
And again, if the problem for Michigan, and it continues to be this, is what happens when you get down?
Yeah.
What happens if Oregon comes out and you look up? And I mean, we saw LSU go up 17-7 on A&M. We saw Kentucky go up 10-0 on Auburn. We see this all the time. What happens if Oregon comes out and you're down 10? Now you got to change the way you operate. You really have to dribble with your left. So the first quarter is always important. It's not the most important quarter, but I think the early start in this game is going to dictate a lot about Michigan's ability to just hang in there. But when you look, David, at this matchup, because we do have some samples to look at. Michigan has, hosted USC, right? Mm-hmm. Michigan has hosted Texas. Dan Lanning put this Oregon team together and built this team like this to be able to translate into the Big Ten Conference if they go there, to be able to translate against SEC teams. And it's the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. So if things are even close to even on the line of scrimmage between Michigan and Oregon, that is a tough ask for Michigan to be able to hang in there.
Yeah, and that's obviously everything that I just said about Oregon going up tempo. The only way to offset is to have success on the ground game. I'm talking about 11, 12, 13 play drives. Exactly. Keep the ball for 42 minutes like Vanderbilt did against Alabama.
That's a good. That's probably your path. That's probably your path.
If you'd have caught Oregon earlier in the year, it probably would have worked out.
Maybe.
Now, y'all need to catch Oregon when Boise State did. Like now it's like
you say that, but Michigan had their own problems.
Well, that's true though. But do you look at that and say, man, Mullings, maybe he can get loose against these guys.
Maybe. I mean, he's a hard runner, man. He is,
and it is at home.
And he started a game at linebacker before. How crazy is that? A guy who started at linebacker is now your bellwether back.
Yeah, he really does. He's kind of built like that a little bit too. But it's going to be a hell of a matchup. We'll see how it goes down. YouTube, so glad you showed up to the meeting. Hit that subscribe button or you're fired.